Hey everyone, you're tuned into InfoQuench with Jeff.
And Amy. Join us as we talk about anything.
And everything.
All the stuff that makes life interesting.
So let's get to it. What's that? I hear something. What's going on?
Don't worry, honey. I hit snooze.
I had a dream where we had to do a podcast.
Actually, we do. Wake up.
We have to do a podcast?
We do.
Oh, what's the podcast about?
That was some spectacular podcast acting.
Thank you. It was not too bad, huh?
We're talking about mornings.
Mornings. A fan of which I am not, to be honest.
I think
times.
Most people aren't, but there is a recent, I guess, wave of self-help, personal development books, all focused around mornings. And
get your morning started right.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about some tips on how to get your butt out of bed in this episode. And then I want to touch a bit on the new wave of, recommendations about what you should do once you get your butt out of bed.
Yeah, which I have a really hard time. Well, I don't have a hard time getting out of bed. It's just that I work overnights. And so mornings are just not really, I'm awake in the morning enough to get to sleep, Does that make any sense?
I do. Shift work is rough. That's a whole other ball game.
I will say this, though, that I do love mornings, especially remember when we were in Fundy National Park and we got up at the yurt in the morning and the mist was just burning off from the sun and it was like beautiful and quiet, and I love that.
Well, there's something magical and amazing about the early morning hours before the rest of the world has begun.
Especially when you're in a big city as well. I use the example of Fundy National Park, but if you were in like New York City, I know that's a city that never sleeps, but it's quieter at like 5 in or 4 in,
I suspect it is. There is definitely something magical about it. And I know a lot of people are making the move to get up earlier and sort of take advantage of that magical time before the rest of the world, the rest of their household wakes up, and to take a little bit of time for themselves.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about one of the early books I read was Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And that was written in 2012. So that was one of the...
Did you tell me anything about this book? I don't even think you...
I probably did, but I guess you probably just didn't retain it.
Well, I don't recognize the author, let's just say that much.
So I'll get into that a little bit later on. And also, more recently, I have joined the 5 a.m. Club.
The 5 a.m. Club.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a book by Robin Sharma that came out just in 2018. I'm a little late to the game because I've seen people talking about this on social media for quite a while, and I finally bit the bullet and read it.
Not only late to the game in that respect, but you're late in the morning as well. You're not 5 a.m., you're 5:30 a.m.
That's right. I joined the 5:30 a.m. club.
So you should write your own book called the 5:30 a.m. Oh, and it's that way in Newfoundland. Because it's a half hour later in Newfoundland, right?
Well done. I'm just a newfie at heart. That's where we're going with that. But a little more about that later. Easy for me to say.
All right.
But let's start out with some tips on how to get out of bed.
Yeah.
All right. So I know a lot of us struggle with this, and some of these will work for you, some of them won't, but really you only need one of them to work for you.
I just have one quick question for you, though. When it comes to an alarm to get up out of bed in the morning, do you need something soothing to kind of lull you out of sleep so that you can get up and start the day, or do you have to be jolted by like a sound that you detest so that you have to turn your alarm off? There's a lot of different camps when it comes to that. For me, I don't need something that's really like annoying to wake me up in the morning. I just need something to wake me up, and then I'm up. Do you know what I mean? Right.
You're not such a sound sleeper that...
Yeah.
There are times when people sleep through and are able to hit a snooze button and not even wake up.
Yeah.
So they hear the alarm in their sleep, reach over, hit their snooze button, and then...
I'm one of those people, though, that always wakes up, like pretty much 100% of the time before the alarm goes off, and I turn it off, and then I get up.
Well, it's interesting how your biological clock does get tuned into what time you should wake up. And even I'm only 1 week into doing the 5 a.m. club.
And how has it been for you?
It's been great.
Yeah, good.
And I've already found that I'm waking up before the alarm.
Yeah.
it didn't take very long to get my my system adjusted. So
The only time that I sleep until my alarm goes off is if I'm absolutely exhausted. Like if I'm or if I'm sick. Like if I'm sick, and I have to get up, I wait until the alarm goes off.
I think one of the key things is to allow yourself enough time. Usually by adulthood, we know how many hours we need to sleep and feel rested. If the average adult, somewhere between 6 and 8 hours a night. And if you allow that amount of time to sleep, then chances are you will be able to get up easily and not
that's
sleep
true.
through an alarm.
Right.
So
So
but
if you-
to go back to your question about
Okay.
what type of alarm do I
Right.
need?
Yes. Yes.
I actually prefer something soothing, that
Yeah, me
kind
too.
of eases me out
Me
because
too.
I'll wake up pretty easily. But one of the tips that I have is that you may find that you need something more motivational to get you up. So
Right.
if rather than what we sort of started this episode off with, that more of a typical standard alarm tone, you might want to have music that starts to play. I mean, there's so
I
much
far
technology,
prefer that.
so much technology available to have. You could have, if you have a tune that really gets you going in the morning, then
Get your motor running. Oh, we have to pay licensing fees now for that. Steppenwolf going to be knocking at the door. Anyway, no, but I've always I don't need something abrasive to wake up to. I think that would kind of ruin my day, to be honest. If I had to wake up to I don't know, the sound of like your fingernails on a chalkboard just to get you up out of bed.
Or a baby crying.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. No, absolutely not. No. Okay.
No, that never woke you up.
No. Yes, it did.
Back to the tips.
Only I woke up before the baby cried.
Another tip I'll have is to actually sleep with your curtains open. Once you're in bed, and you've got your lights off, it may be helpful to have your curtains open so that if you're basically needing to get up with the sun, the daylight will help, get you up and sort of wake you up gradually. Alternatively, if, we're in Canada this time of year, when we have to get up, it's still dark outside. You can actually buy alarm clocks now that will light up your room gradually and simulate a
Really?
sunrise.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, our son Hux has one of those in his room.
He's got a light that.
His alarm clock can be set to gradually. I don't do it that way because
get brighter? I didn't know
I want
that.
him to sleep until I wake him up. But,
Yeah,
but
I know.
technically it can do that.
Yeah.
So that is an option. But having natural daylight, come into your room first thing in the morning is a great way to try to get you, up and out of bed.
Definitely. I understand that.
Another tip, I talked about people who actually will sleep through hitting the snooze alarm. A lot of people swear by having their alarm clock or their phone or whatever they're using to wake up to set on the opposite side of the room out of arm's reach so that they actually have to get up and go over. And by that time, they're less likely to hit snooze. They'll actually,
Just get up
probably
and
just stay up.
Turn it off and start getting dressed.
There's even alarm clocks that you have to get out of bed and stand up on in order to make them turn off.
Oh, I'm sure there's some doozy alarm clocks that would just I remember seeing one alarm clock where you actually had to throw it at the wall to turn it off.
So it was like a ball or something.
Yeah,
It's like a house and a ball.
something like that.
It's weird the different things that human beings have come up with to try to get ourselves to.
And then after that, you go to coffee. Well, I don't drink coffee either. I've never drank coffee in my life, so I don't know. I don't need it to get through
You're
the day.
missing out on some great antioxidants.
And I know, and people are alert, way more alert perhaps than I am, but I think I do all right. I think I do all right.
You're quite alert.
Yeah, quite alert in the mornings. I don't need coffee.
All right.
I got nothing against coffee. I just don't like it.
My next tip has to do around the snooze button.
Yeah.
If you're hitting snooze, and I know I've done this, if you're sitting there and you're thinking about it and you're starting to count, some snooze buttons are 7 minutes, some are 9 minutes. I don't know why, we talked about this actually in another episode of why that is. But
Yeah.
it's sort of like the amount of time that your body needs to go back into a deep sleep cycle. So
Yeah.
it tries to avoid, getting into that deep sleep again. But, sometimes you're doing the calculation like, okay, it can hit 3 snooze buttons and it's only going to be 21 more minutes. And what time, and you're sitting there doing math, trying to figure out how much longer you can sleep. I know this because I've done this.
I've done it too.
And
Definitely.
as soon as you start to take that leap to think about whether or not you want to wake up, you've already lost the battle.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I've learned quickly this week in getting up far earlier than I was, because I was more of a 6:30 person and moved up to 5:30. So it's a big difference in my game. is to not think about it, is to really, the alarm goes off, 0 snoozes.
Zero
Just-
snoozes.
Just get up,
I don't
because
do any
as soon as you hit
snoozes.
the 1 snooze, that 1 snooze snowballs into
Yeah.
6 snoozes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I've
it's true.
snoozed for an hour
So here's a question for you.
in
So
9-minute increments.
let's say for the sake of talking, you got your alarm set for 5:30 in the morning, and you wake up before your alarm goes off at like 5:26.
Oh, well, yeah, I'd still
Do
go
you-
back to sleep.
You
until
go
the
back.
alarm
You go
goes
back
off.
to sleep. You get that 3 minutes
Yes.
or whatever it is.
Oh, there is no better feeling in the world than when you wake up before your alarm and you're like, yes.
That is a great
Yes.
feeling.
It's almost it's similar to the feeling when you wake up and think you have to get up and start the workday,
Yeah.
and it's Saturday.
But if I get it, yeah, that's true.
That's an
If
even
I
better
get up,
feeling.
if I have to get up for 6 in the morning and my alarm goes off at 5:40, then I'll just get up. Like that's it. Like I'll turn my alarm off, and
Well, you're a monster.
I know I don't know. Like that's 9 times out of 10. There's always that one time I don't do it though, you know, and then I'm late for work and all that, you know. Sorry. Yeah.
So yeah, hitting the snooze button even once, like if you're planning your alarm around being able to hit snooze once or twice to give yourself the illusion of sleeping in, it's probably going to do you a disservice in the long run. It's easier just to bite the bullet and get up straight away, and don't give your brain time to think about what's happening. Just
Yeah.
get up and do it. Now,
Yep.
my next trick that I remember this back from when I read Miracle Morning years ago, was I do 2 things immediately when I wake up. I always have a full glass of water on the
You
nightstand.
do. You've always, ever since I've known you.
So I always drink a full glass of water when I wake up,
Mm-hmm.
and then I immediately go and brush my teeth.
Yeah.
And the reason I do that, and I do that while I'm still half asleep, and before I even have a chance to think about it.
Gets you
but once you brush your teeth, by the time you're done the act of brushing your teeth and your mouth is all empty, you don't want to go crawl back in bed and, snooze
Yeah.
again. And the water piece of it is, well, your body's gone 6 to 8 hours without any source of hydration. So there's all kinds of information you can
Yeah,
Google
that's a
about the
good point.
benefits of hydrating when you have an empty stomach, in terms of, your body's been working to get rid of toxins over the course of the night, and
Mm-hmm.
how having water through the system first thing can help flush the toxins. If you're interested in that, you can even Google Japanese water therapy. There are all kinds of
Don't get
rumored
it confused
benefits.
with Japanese water torture.
No,
No.
definitely don't. But that would definitely get you out of bed too.
That
wouldn't it?
would, yeah. Drip, drip.
Is that what that's called, or is that
Yes, Japanese water torture.
Is that like-
I don't know if it's.
okay?
It was a form of torture where a single drop just kept dropping on someone's body or whatever. I think it's the
On
forehead,
the forehead, yes.
between the eyes or something
Right.
like that.
And then there's waterboarding. We're way off topic.
Yeah, whoa, okay.
Waterboarding will definitely wake you up.
So
in the
anyway,
morning.
waking up in the morning.
So yeah, water and brushing my teeth, they were game changers for me. It sounds silly and stupid as being,
But it's that
something
pattern.
easy. But yeah, it's a pattern. And once I get to that point, and plus you're walking into the washroom, so you're a little further away from the bed, and
Yeah.
and then I'm up and I'm good to go.
Yeah, makes sense.
Another tip that came out of Miracle Morning was and people used to do this, I think, they used to do it more often in olden times.
In olden times, back in
according
the
to
olden days.
to the movies. But when people would get up, the first thing they would do would be stand up and stretch.
Oh yeah.
Taking a nice deep breath, stretching your hands over your head, getting right up on your tippy toes, and
You
doing
can do
it.
that even just in bed. Like you can just stretch right out
Well,
as soon as
yeah.
you wake up.
I mean, animals. When a dog or a cat wakes up, that's one of the first things they do is stretch, and it's just good for the body. It's good for circulation,
Yeah.
and taking a few deep breaths, get the oxygen going. Definitely a great way to help you get up. And if you need to ease into it a little bit more, like you're not like me who bolts out of bed and drinks water and brushes my teeth, stretching may be a good way to go to
Yeah.
to ease into
Why not?
getting vertical.
Do a little quick yoga as soon as you wake up.
Absolutely. I mean, sun salutations
Yeah.
are the perfect thing to do first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Great for everything, for digestion, and I can go on
Everything.
and on about the benefits of yoga, but
Well, there's a topic for another podcast, perhaps. Let us know, our loyal listeners, if you would like to hear a podcast about yoga.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would even do that.
Well, you just go anywhere and just yell at us. Honestly, like Facebook, Instagram.
Oh, no, I mean, I don't know how I would do a podcast about yoga.
Oh, I see.
I'm sure there's a way.
You're like, you looked at me all inquisitively when I said yell. Just yell. You're like, what?
You mean the listeners can just yell at us?
Yeah.
Yes, I gotcha. I do want to do one on the benefits of water, though. That got me thinking, because we do.
That's a good idea.
You know, another thing about drinking that glass of water, a ton of people have a goal now to drink so much water in the course of a day.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's pretty standard and accepted that water's a good thing. We know that. It's,
I know.
It's a given,
been-
whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're just trying to,
Yeah.
maintain good health. Staying hydrated is important. So when you drink that first glass, you've already got one glass down.
Yeah. I've been consciously trying to drink more and more water throughout the entire day. Like, I have this really, you know what I'm talking about, that giant mason jar that I have.
Yes. I know what
this
you're talking
thing
about.
is gigantic. It holds almost probably a liter of water, and I try to down that as quickly as I can and then fill it right back up all day.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and it fits wonderfully in the dishwasher.
Yeah, it's a little tricky, isn't it?
It's a little tricky.
But it does fit.
But it's great. It's all about hydration. So, honey, I'm glad if the mason jar is working for you.
Yeah.
The giant
It's working.
pickle
I don't know
mason
why.
jar.
I don't know why I chose that, but yeah.
My last tip just around getting up early is just fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
We all are so used to saying, I'm not a morning person. Unless you are a morning person, then you're probably bragging about it. But
Right.
the great many of us are saying we're not morning people.
I'm not.
But just, once you get into the habit of it, it's like anything. If you keep doing it over and over again, eventually it will become natural. You won't have trouble at all getting up. So
That's true. It's true. And think about the longevity of your life as well, right? Your waking life, that is. When you're awake, if you're awake earlier in the morning and you stay up until, whatever, like you're living your life like more. You know what I mean? Throughout the day, rather than sleeping all day like I do. Because I work all night. So anyway, I have long since gotten over the feeling of ruining my whole day because I slept too long, because it's just the way I am wired now.
Well, that's just part of shift work. I mean, it's
shift work. There's another topic or concept for a podcast,
So now that we're up nice and early because we've used all these great tips, I want to talk a little bit about the miracle morning.
Let's talk about it. Miracle morning.
So what do you do once you get up? So the idea of miracle morning and the 5 a.m. club, as I mentioned, is getting up and carving out a little bit of time early on in the day and setting it aside for a time of, it's time of solitude, time
self-reflection.
To do activity just on your own. And what I've noticed is, during the day, you're just overly inundated with information, whether it's, through technology, social media, the news, demands at work.
Mm-hmm.
So as you go through the course of the day and you're making decisions, you're getting decision fatigue, you're just not at the same mental clarity that you are when you first wake up in the morning.
Absolutely not.
So the idea is to sort of take advantage of that clarity before the rest of the world invades your mind space.
Yeah.
And
it will.
And do some things that really
an all-out attack.
Set the stage for the day.
Yeah.
All-out attack.
Well, really, it's true, because as soon as you get out there, you're bombarded with people, with internet, with meetings. That just nonstop, right, until you get home.
So I'll talk about what Miracle Morning sort of gives as an outline of what you should do once you wake up during that solitary time. And Hal Elrod, the author, essentially has 6 components that he uses to break up that space. And you're focusing on 6 different things. Okay. So the thought is that you could spend a minute on each of these and have as little as a 6-minute miracle morning, or you could spend 10 minutes on each of these and take up a full hour.
So the time allotted is up to you.
Exactly. So there's a bit of flexibility with Miracle Morning that I like, and I'll go through what those are. So there's an acronym that he uses to help remember what the activities are that you would do as part of your Miracle Morning, and the acronym is SAVERS, SAVERS.
Yeah.
So the first one is S, and it stands for silence. So the idea around silence is that you take time upon first waking for some sort of silent activity. So it could be meditation. It could be,
Drawing.
no,
Oh,
it couldn't be drawing. Don't be just throwing activities out there.
silent.
Well, it's not. It's it's more about. It's not just things that are quiet activities.
All right, then fine.
The idea of silence is around. Oh God!
You're like, nope, wrong.
No, wrong. It's about reflection. So
Okay.
If you follow a certain religion, you may use that time to pray. If you're spiritual, you may use that time for meditation. It's time just to sit and think and reflect. Again,
That
taking
could be 1
advantage of a
minute
clear mind. Yeah,
or
so
30,
it could be
depending on how
probably not
long you have in the morning.
right. Well, considering you spend an equal amount of time on each of the 6 things, you probably wouldn't want to do 30 minutes because that
Okay.
would be a 3-hour miracle.
So
morning,
which one do you
which would be
do?
one heck of a miracle morning.
Which one do you do?
Which one do I do?
Yeah.
Well,
for your silent.
I'm moving into the 5 a.m. club now, which
Okay.
has some similar concepts.
All right.
But for me, I prefer meditation.
Meditation, which involves like just quickly, like is it just sitting quietly and just what are you thinking, or are you trying not to think?
Well, I mean, they're all forms of different meditation, and I've dabbled in a lot of different ones. I mean,
Okay.
in traditional Zen meditation, it is all just about just sitting and focusing on the breath, but you can use even apps such as Calm or
Okay.
Headspace that'll walk you through guided meditations. You could even just do a search on YouTube, which I often do,
Okay.
and if you want to just listen to waves or Tibetan
Or Brian Eno's music for
Music.
airports.
yes, and you just basically put the duration of time on so that once the music stops, then it's time. Your allotted time for silence is up. But there's a lot of things that can help you. A lot of articles on different ways
Interesting.
to
Okay.
approach meditation. Meditation in and of itself is a huge topic,
Yeah, I can imagine.
and it depends on what you want to get out of it too.
Yeah.
Right? For some people, it is just the calm and the peace, and they're happy just to sit there, maybe focus on the breath, do
Yeah.
count inhalations, exhalations, try to clear the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Other times it can be more reflective or maybe concentrating on a specific topic.
Okay, excellent. So S is
silence. And
I
then
is
no, it's next letter's A.
oh, what's the word again?
You're spelling silence,
I
weren't
am.
you?
I am.
Savors.
Savers.
So it's like
A
how do
is-
you save yourself? How are you saving your morning?
Right.
The morning
Got it.
savers.
Got
All
it
right?
now.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. So the next letter is
A.
for affirmations.
Affirmations. What are you thankful for?
Right.
Right.
Exactly. So a lot of people may be familiar with affirmations, people going to conferences and things like that
Mm-hmm.
and yelling out affirmations, I am confident or whatever they
You're
may
good
be.
enough. You're smart enough. And doggone it, people like you.
Yes, exactly.
Saturday Night Live.
Is it?
Yeah.
So I think people are familiar with the topic of affirmations, but it may be worth your while to sit down if that's your thing and write down some affirmations, things that'll help you feel empowered and confident, and that's a list that you can run through in the morning. And it may be a list that evolves and changes as you move through life, but that it's
Yeah.
basically setting aside a time to go over those affirmations. And
It can never be better. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It can never feel better than to feel better about yourself. You know what I mean? It can never be a better thing. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I don't know
but,
either.
I had it, and then I just it came out garbage.
There's no better feeling than feeling good about yourself.
Yeah,
Is
there's
that what you're
there's
going
nothing
for?
bad. There's nothing bad that can come from feeling better about
No,
yourself.
unless
That's what I
you're
was trying
really
to
like
say.
yelling your affirmations and wake up your entire
Right.
household.
Well,
that could be
yeah, if
problematic.
you had a bullhorn at like 5 a.m. yelling out, "Oh, you're awesome!" Over, that would be pretty bad. Good for you, bad for everybody else.
Moving on from affirmations,
Let's do it.
the next letter in savers
We'll just edit that out,
is V, which is for visualization.
or not.
So
Yeah.
the idea around visualization is just to, close your eyes and picture how you want your day to unfold.
You want to be nice to
Focusing
people,
on your goals,
not lose your cool, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
At work, you visualize like speaking to everybody very calmly and without any kind of grit to your teeth or anything like that. You don't want to clench your teeth and just kind of, get angry with your coworkers or anything like that. You just want to visualize speaking to them properly and nicely, right?
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
That's exactly it. You got it.
Okay, what's E?
But it can also be, visualizing, your long-term goals. You may have particular goals that you have in mind that you want to accomplish. It could be maybe that you're giving a presentation that day.
Okay.
So you can take the time to sort of walk through it mentally. Athletes use visualization all the
That's
time
true. They
before
do.
performing.
You see them in the Olympics when they're doing their like ski jumps and they're going through every single jump, every single movement of their body while they're in the air. Do you ever see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, to have your mind go through it is very similar to carrying it out.
Basketball players do it at the foul line. They go through the motions of throwing the shot and then they do it. Yeah, you're right.
I know that the listeners can't take advantage of this, but Jeff is doing all the motions of skiing and diving and
if you
throwing
can,
basketballs.
If you can, kind listener, visualize my visualization.
E in Savers is for exercise. That one's pretty self-explanatory, but what I
move that body
read over and over again is the importance of getting a bit of a sweat on.
Yeah.
You know, that it does a
you
lot
don't
in
really
terms
need to
of
sweat though, do you?
Well,
I
in
guess
terms
you
of
probably
building up energy and the recommendation is to, get a light sweat going. You may want to do something.
Not a Peloton.
If you're doing the, 6-minute morning, so you're doing a minute of exercise, it might be, 60 seconds of jumping jacks. I've tried the 6 minutes. I found it a little rushed. I prefer the 10 minutes on each activity and assigning a full hour. Because a minute is really rushing.
Can you
between
conceivably
these
do
activities.
that before work every day?
Yes.
10 minutes on every single.
Well, yes, I do.
Okay, wow, that's admirable.
No, I've moved to the 5 a.m. club method, which is a little bit different, but it has a lot of similarities. The R in Savers is for reading.
Oh, I love reading.
Yeah. So, and the idea is to focus on something that's more developmental, something that'll help you grow. Perhaps it's a self-help book. Maybe it's an educational article, something related to your work.
That's interesting because
listening,
I feel like you could learn from anything that you read. It doesn't have to be, but I understand that they're trying to the whole concept is personal growth. I understand that.
And I'm not saying that you don't learn something from every great work of fiction.
I know. I'm just saying, read what you want.
But for the purposes of the Miracle Morning,
when it comes to the reading aspect of it all, I'd say anarchy. Read what you want, man.
And the S in Savers is for scribing, which means to write down. So this is usually in the form of journaling, which I know people are quite familiar with now.
You've started doing that.
I have.
Is it part of the 5 a.m. thing?
It is.
Or is it a part of
It's part of the Miracle Morning. It's part of the 5 a.m. It's part of bullet journaling.
You've been doing it for how long now, your journaling?
I've been doing it off and on for years, but then I just started it again in the new year.
So what do you feel it does for you? I'm curious.
Well, in the morning, it allows you to maybe just kind of focus and set some intentions for the day.
Okay.
I mean, with bullet journaling, it's really just recording some main events. So
in
it
your
can be
life.
helpful that way.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it's just, getting thoughts down on paper can be very
therapeutic,
cleansing, therapeutic, cathartic.
Yeah, cathartic. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So that wraps up what the Miracle Morning is all about. So again, savers. So silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, scribing. Thanks, honey.
Yeah.
That was great. I loved how you said them together with me. It was perfect.
Yeah, thanks. Trying to be right there when you said it.
Now, I've alluded to the 5 a.m. club throughout this. Well, I haven't alluded to it. I've outright said it. So Robin Sharma wrote that book, and I read it, and I'm a week into it. And there's a challenge to do 66 days of the 5 a.m. club, which is what I'm working on. So I just finished day 7.
7? Oh.
And I will dedicate a full podcast episode to the 5 a.m. club when I'm a little further along and have a little bit more experience with it, so I can give some input onto what I felt about it. But I have to say, so far, I'm really enjoying it.
Another thing that you can do early in the morning when you wake up, if you don't feel like doing any of the things we talked about, just listen to our podcast.
That's right.
About what we're talking about,
Exactly.
Why not? Why not? Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening.
And remember, you can catch up on past episodes at infoquench.com.
Or just about anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And help spread the word about InfoQuench.
Till next time.